Jess Martin. Welcome to In Her Era.
I'm so excited to be here. I just can't stop talking about how cool this studio is.
I do love the aesthetic of this studio. Speaking of aesthetic, actually, I want to tell you how I first started following you.
Yes.
Because it's actually a really weird story and you're probably not what you think. But I saw, obviously you've come up on my feed for some reason, and I looked at your fashion and I was like, oh my gosh, I love it. Because I was in this era where like I'm upgrading all my clothes. I think, you know, when you have all the clothes back when you were in high school, you still wear the same thing.
Yeah.
But I looked and you're like, you have big boobs like me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, she can pull off this stuff, then I can find this stuff. Because I found it really hard to find corporate, businessy clothes, business casual that look like fit big bust women. Do you know what I mean? So that's why I started following you. And then obviously I got obsessed with your work and all the things.
The amount of people who do say I started following you because of your outfits, and every time we do a reel where I'm just sharing my outfits for the day, they get the most views.
I have noticed that.
Like, excuse me, I go to so much effort for my content. I think about everything. I'm here to give you the best pep talk, and what you guys want to see is my outfits.
Your outfits. Well, this is how people find you, and then we get absorbed into your world. And what I love about you, your work and my work is it just really complements each other. It
really does.
And I think, and we talk about it all the time, is that you can have the best strategy in the world, the best top tier goals and the exact roadmap of how to get there. But if your health is not able to execute on those goals because your energy is flatline, which is my work, but if you don't have the subconscious and the mindset to be able to hold what you want or become the woman who can have what she wants, like, you will always be ceiling.
Yeah. That's why I was so excited for this conversation today, because I think so many people get so caught up on the action and the task, which obviously is so important. But if you don't have the vessel to hold what you're trying to create, you either won't attract it at all or you won't hold on to it. So the two worlds colliding. I love it.
Me too. That's why I was like, oh, we have to have this conversation. So before we dive into the tips and the strategies, I would love to like strip it back, because subconscious reprogramming gets thrown around a lot, but not everybody knows what it is and why it's so important. So I'd love you to do a little one-on-one of why it's kind of important.
The easiest way I describe it is it's like your computer system. And we know with a computer, it will only ever perform the functions that it's been programmed to perform. So I'll rewind how I actually came to learn what the subconscious program was. I had another business in network marketing, and I was doing everything right, just as we were talking about before. Showing up on social media, reaching out to people, doing these parties in people's homes. It was so tragic. But I was doing everything right. I got raised on the belief that if you want success, you've got to work really hard for it. So I was working hard. I was doing everything, and the sales were not coming. The money was not coming. And it eventually got to a point where I paused and I had that reflection. There is something in me blocking the sales and the money because I'm doing everything right. I'm ticking all of the boxes. And I eventually discovered Dr. Joe Dispenza, who is a thought leader when it comes to the subconscious program. And everything that he said was just making so much sense. It doesn't matter what you want, you will always get what you're subconsciously programmed to create. And as I've mentioned, I grew up in a family where I was told to work hard if you want success. I was raised in a family where the women would get jobs, so lawyers, accountants, teachers, and the men were the self-employed, entrepreneurial individuals in our family. So I just did not have the programming to run an online business and make passive income while I'm sipping an Aperol Spritz in Europe. And when it was worded in that way, it just made so much sense. So it really is just the computer that you are running your life from. And imagine that we, over your lifetime, have jumped into that computer and we've pulled up a Microsoft Word document, and everything that you got told, mostly before the age of 7, was being documented on that Microsoft Word document. And now we've just hit print. And that's exactly what you are experiencing in your life. Everything you got told, everything you experienced, everything you absorbed as a young child is now being played out and printed in your life. And that will always prevail over whatever it is that you're actually doing. So, yeah, it's the computer system. And if you want to perform a new function, you've got to get in and upgrade it.
Okay, we are definitely diving into this tools about how to upgrade it. And I resonate a lot because I was the same. I was always told since school, because I was such a high achiever, I always achieved such great grades, whatever, but that was the pressure I put on myself. But it's always like, you have to work so hard for what you want. And I remembered like I wanted to be certain things, but people like, no, that's not, you are earning, so you need to be so much more than that. So it would be like, I initially was lawyer, then it was doctor, like it was always these big things. But really at the end of the day, I learnt so much that a lot of the thoughts that I was having was because of these programs or these subconscious programs that I had so young. So it's so interesting as well.
Yeah. And as I mentioned, it's before the age of 7 and I don't have many memories of
true.
before the age of 7. I mean, the programming does continue after that, but a lot of it is before the age of 7, and that's because of the way that your brainwaves are at that age or that period of your life. Your brainwaves are slower, so you're being hypnotized. You don't actually have the ability to pause and say, I don't want to believe that, I'm not going to absorb that. You are just being programmed. You're being hypnotized, and absolutely everything is just going into that subconscious program. And again, that's what you're running your life from now.
Yeah. So you obviously were a lawyer before you went into this work.
Yeah.
So then how have we transitioned from being a lawyer to the work you do now?
Yeah. So I was a personal injury lawyer. I did that for 7 years, and it was a childhood dream come true. Ever since I was a little girl, ever since I can remember, all I wanted to do was become a lawyer. So I got really good grades at school. I took it very seriously. I got into university, again, smashed university, did really well. And funnily enough, it came really easily to me because I had the subconscious program to go out and become a lawyer. So university was a breeze for me, and then I landed my dream job up here on the Gold Coast as a personal injury lawyer. And everything felt like it was just landing into place. I was living the dream. I had achieved all of my goals until one day it did not fit. It did not fit anymore. And I was reading a book called The Answers, which, while I remember feeling a little bit uneasy, I don't remember searching for an answer or needing to change my career path. But I picked up this book and there was one simple question. If you could have any life, what would that be? And I pulled out my journal, although I probably didn't even have a journal back then. It would have been some paper that I found around the house, like some A4 paper. And suddenly pages and pages and pages of downloads and thoughts about what my life would look like. A lot of it was based on freedom, get on a plane and go and see my family when I want, travel, extended weekends. And I was looking at this paper and thinking about the career that I had, and it was not aligned whatsoever. One thing that I do applaud myself on is I'm quite curious. So when I saw the downloads on this piece of paper and realized that I was not within the right career, instead of shrinking and being fearful about that, I just started following the breadcrumbs. And I was just so open to possibility about what this life could actually look like. And I had no idea what kind of job would even allow this flexibility, this freedom. I had never considered being an entrepreneur, let alone within the online space. But again, I just opened my mind to possibility, and as the world of manifestation works out, opportunities started to present themselves to me, and I was online one day and I came across network marketing, and it was presented in a way where it's freedom, uncapped income, flexibility. Thought, you know what, let's give it a go. So as I mentioned, I did network marketing for about 2 years, and when I was in network marketing, that was it for me. I was going to create this business, and that was going to be the way that I created this life. But as I've mentioned, after the 2 years and things weren't really working out, I got into the world of mindset and uncovered the subconscious mind, and just had another moment of realization where I thought every woman needs to know about this. Because there are so many people who are stuck in life and they do not need to be. So we ended up here after the podcast was launched and it was very popular. Programs, masterminds, and now it's my thing.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's so interesting to hear your transition as well, because you obviously just follow the breadcrumbs and what you were drawn to. And it always, sometimes I feel like as women, it's like intuitive. We're like, oh, that will work. And then you dive deep into that. And then when other people resonate as well, you're like, oh, actually I have something. And in terms of your work, you work a lot with high achieving women. Women going after really big goals, leaders, big women doing big things, really. When we talk about the subconscious work and why it's so important for women like that who want to chase the success and the wealth that they want and the freedom that you value so much as well, why is it so important for them?
not many households have terminology that includes money is just energy and you can have an unlimited amount of it and you will get paid based on who you are, not how hard you work. So unfortunately, while yes, they are very driven, ambitious women who are very capable of achieving these goals, they're still doing so with this program where they were told you've got to get a job and money is limited and there's not enough of it. And so because of that programming over time and because of the negativity usually associated with money and success, according to their subconscious, and which translates into the nervous system, their subconscious is actually deeming money as a threat. Because again, if we reflect back into their childhood, it was never spoken about very kindly. There was usually a lot of stress, a lot of overwhelm associated with it. Perhaps their parents would argue about money. I have a memory of my dad sitting up at the kitchen bench. He had his own business and just having paper and bills all over the kitchen bench. And I didn't realize this until I did this work. But as that little girl, I remember just looking at him thinking, that looks so stressful. Like, I don't want to be an adult dealing with money because that does not look nice.
Yeah.
So this is still playing out for women. Even though they want the money, their subconscious mind wants to keep them away from money because it has deemed it a threat. So again, we need to reprogram the subconscious to feel safe with money, which is a shock to a lot of ambitious women because they want all the money. They enjoy luxury. They want, you know, the yacht down the south of France. Like, they aren't consciously afraid of money, but the subconscious is.
Yeah. So when you talk about feeling safe with money, what do you mean?
So to the listeners, close down your eyes and imagine that you have just received a massive big tax bill from your accountant and you don't have the money in your account to pay it, and just visualize seeing that number, visualize where you would be in the house as you open that and drop into the body. And usually it will create an anxious feeling in your body, this overwhelm, this stress. That is an indication that your body is unsafe when it comes to money. So when we say unsafe, it's really just that fight or flight response that's occurring in the body, and it is that pit in the stomach, that the heart racing that so many women get when it comes to money, and that's our sign that the subconscious is trying to keep you away from it.
Yeah. Okay. Then we want to create safety, what would be some tools and strategies that we could then do?
Yeah. So there's so many things. Like, how long do we have? Okay, number one is visualization. So our subconscious our subconscious mind only knows that when money's in the room, it's stressful, it creates a fear response in the body, we get that pit in our stomach. So we need to visualize a different reality when money is in the picture. And visualization is a way that we can do that. It's called mental rehearsal. Yeah. And what we are doing is dropping into a scene whereby we have money, but we are showing our body a different way to feel when money is around. And each time we drop into that scene, if we can evoke an emotion as if we're actually there, the brain doesn't actually know the difference between a visualization and a real life a real life experience. But each time we drop into this scene, the brain thinks that we are now there in that house around money in this way, feeling different, and we're actually creating new neural pathways in the brain. And I tell people, imagine a smart house. And if we turned the same lights on every single day, the smart house will register, okay, let's send electricity only to that light switch, and let's stop sending electricity to the light switches that they aren't using in the home. That's essentially what we're doing in your brain. So by no longer thinking about money in a limiting way and feeling fearful towards money, we are essentially killing off the old neural pathways and creating new ones. Eventually now your brain has a different response towards money. So mental rehearsal is so powerful. So many studies have been conducted to confirm the power we have by shifting our brain by visualizing.
Totally. I was going to say with visualization, there's so many studies, especially in athletes, where visualization is used, they will rehearse the exact way that they would run a track or they would do things, and they've done studies on their muscles and things to show that it will do the same amount of growth as actually running the track. Obviously, you still have to run the track, but You get what I mean? It's like visualization is so powerful, but it's so interesting. You could then translate it to an experience or a perceived experience around how you would feel about receiving a bill or investing in X amount of money or things like that.
And so if we use the bill scenario as an example, when we dropped into that scene before, it created that anxious feeling in the body and, you know, our thoughts spiraled to how am I going to pay this, and it's stressful. Drop into that same scene during visualization, but see a figure and then imagine that you've got the money. Yeah. Create this calmness in your body using your breath. Again, now we're changing the response to that same scene. So that's the perfect example of how we can use visualization. And then another really powerful modality is sensory reprogramming. So again, each time money is in the room, always drop into the body. How am I feeling right now? And if you are anxious, don't just let that anxiety run through your body, because that will then create anxious thoughts, which will then create scenarios whereby you have to think and feel that way. Use your breath to calm your body down. And you would talk a lot about the nervous system and, you know, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. But when you experience that heightened state of fight or flight, you're activating, you know, the sympathetic nervous system. So we can use our breath to slow the body down and say, hey, we are safe around money. There is no need for the increased heart rate or the anxiety in our belly. Let's just be calm. And it's a breath that is so easy and powerful to do, but it's just taking back the control of your body.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so interesting. I actually just learnt recently that the fastest way to drop from sympathetic to parasympathetic, so into your rest state, is a physiological sigh. Have you heard of that one?
Yeah.
Where it's that like double breath in and then the longest exhale, but it drops you so quickly. So I could imagine if someone is experiencing a reaction, or even doing it where they're not experiencing that reaction, for example, just to create safety in the body while they're doing something that might be triggering for them, that could be really helpful. Yeah.
And so imagine if we go back to your subconscious has been programmed to assume that money is a threat because of your childhood. It is viewing money in the same way that it would view a tiger that is chasing you through the jungle wanting to kill you. And we know that if you were actually running away from a tiger, your breath would be really short and sharp. You wouldn't be able to sit there and have a nice deep inhale and an exhale. So by doing so, it's showing the body that the tiger is no longer around, or this tiger that we had been so scared of is actually this really cute little cat that wants to be our friend, and we can go up and pat it. Yeah. In which case the breath would actually be slow inhale and a nice exhale. Yeah. So it's just the way to say, hey, to the body, like, this tiger is not going to harm us. Money is not going to harm us. Let's make friends with this so that we can make a lot of it.
If we then talk about other behaviors or patterns that you see with women that want big success, want big money, but have obviously subconscious patterns or programs that they've been grown up believing, what are other things that maybe that aren't money that you're seeing in your work come up?
I mean, it can go down to the type of clients they attract in, what happens when clients are in their world. So a pattern that I do see a lot is they may have a lot of inquiries, a lot of new followers, a lot of influx coming through, and then they pause prior to actually making the sale with them. So yeah, it's just that resistance at the point of sale, but in the form of the type of clients that are coming into your world. Because of course we know not every client will have a price objection. Not every client can't afford your services. Not every client will be an absolute nightmare to actually enroll and work with. There are clients out there who will see your sales page and connect. They will see your price and feel or think that makes sense. They would just be an easy premium client to deal with. So that's another indication that there is this subconscious block towards success, because you are manifesting these clients who are a bit sticky and there's a lot of resistance towards them actually signing up with you. So that's a big one. I also see it a lot when it comes to social media growth. So they have the reels that should be going viral. They may be very consistent online. They've got the beautiful shoots, the aesthetics, it's all there, but it's not actually transferring into sales, which is why as business owners we're on social media, right? And that could be a fear of visibility. So if I actually popped off on social media, what would the outcome be? And it's likely that there's a fear in there as well. The subconscious is trying to hold you back from that ultimate growth because, again, there's some kind of bad scenario that your subconscious mind thinks will happen if it manifests.
So you would do the same thing, say you had a fear of visibility and like what would happen if I grew 10,000 followers overnight and you feared that, maybe fear of responsibility, maybe fear of what people might think or say or the comments and things like that. You would do the same techniques as you did with the money, so breath work and visualization.
Yeah, and we can also bring in a practice that you could do for anything in business really, but I call it the debunking exercise. So, okay, we've identified there's some resistance with your growth in whatever capacity, clients, money, social media, whatever it may be. Let's get out your journal. Let's put a line down the middle of your page. On the left-hand side, let's go to town. What's the worst case scenario? What's the worst thing that could happen? What's your biggest fear? That's the subconscious mind coming through. We go viral and then we have comments from trolls saying that we're a fraud and we don't know what we're doing, or we do sell out that launch or that program and we have 100 new students, but then I can't deliver and I'm stressed. Like, let all the fears out. And then on the other side of the page, on the right-hand side of the page, come through and simply just start to debunk. Is that actually true? Or is there another scenario that could exist? There's always a better scenario. It's not set in stone that the worst case scenario is the only scenario that can play out. It will if you focus on it and expect it to. But if we can start to shift your perspective and realize there is also a better case scenario, and if you focus on that and expect that, it will play out. So that simple shift is so powerful. That's going to get your mind starting to think about that other scenario. And then, as you've mentioned, then you can take it further and then drop into the body. And what we're doing is coding that new narrative into the body. So the best case scenario would make you feel calm, excited, passionate. So let's show your body what that actually feels, and visualizing a scene where that best case scenario is playing out, evoking the emotion, is a really powerful way to do that.
Oh, that's so good. That's so helpful because it feels really practical that people can do.
Yeah.
When we talk about, you talked about manifestation just before. A lot of people think manifestation is like really woo-woo. Yeah. The reason why I love the way you talk about it is because it comes with logic. Yeah. It comes with science. So could you give it a little bit of an elaboration of the science behind manifestation and the way you teach it?
Yeah, so I agree. I love the scientific approach to manifestation. And when I was introduced to the world of manifestation, I remember having a belief that it worked. I'm like, okay, I can get around this, but I want to know what's actually happening in our brain. Scientifically, what do you mean thoughts create things? So yeah, I love to have this conversation because it's far from this woo-woo spiritual creation
which
of
I feel like it's put in.
Yes.
Like the manifestation is just in the woo-woo category.
Yeah. And I like to dip my toes in there every now and then, but the spiritual side of it is you have a thought and a feeling. And that thought and feeling contributes to an energetic broadcast that's surrounding your body. That energetic broadcast isn't just this spiritual aura, it's scientifically measurable. So if we took you into a science lab and put you behind some scanners, they could actually measure the broadcast that is surrounding all of us as we sit in this studio here today. And that broadcast is influenced by the thoughts and the feelings that you are having in your body. It ultimately sends out a charge. So the thoughts send out a charge and the emotions send out the magnetism to that charge. But we have this broadcast, and the broadcast is sending out a signal, and it's going to create whatever is a match for that signal. Now, in the realm of quantum physics, there is a concept called the observer effect. And there have been studies that have shown that when they fire these particles at the wall, they behave in a certain way, but when an observer looks at them, they behave differently. So what this tells us is whatever you focus your attention on, it will collapse the energetic wave of possibility into that outcome. Because everything is energy. This chair is energy, this microphone's energy, we are energy, and we are just floating around as these like energetic potentials. But whatever you focus your attention on, it will collapse the energetic potentials into matter. And that's what we then see in the physical realm. So it's like a radio station. Based on your thoughts and feelings, what's the broadcast that you're sending out, and what radio station is that going to tune you into? And this is what I love about understanding this work from this lens. You have the potential to shift your life like that. So quickly, it's like shifting the radio station frequency. One frequency will tune you into a particular station. All you need to do is just change the frequency and you're now listening to another radio station. You are the frequency, your thoughts and your feelings. Of course, repetition is key to maintain that new frequency. But if you can start to think and feel like you already have the desires that you have in business and in life, and you can hold that frequency, it's going to collapse the energetic wave of possibility into the outcomes that you actually want.
You talk a lot about that acting as if. You know, I saw a quote on Pinterest and I was reminded of you. It was like...
I love that.
Typical. It was like the right doors won't open until you become the person who's supposed to walk through that door. And, you know, you talk a lot about acting as the woman who already has the things that you want and you desire. But how can, when we talk about the frequencies and maintaining that radio channel, how do you practically do that if you feel like you currently don't have that?
Yeah, and that's the trickiest part.
Yeah.
It is. And I'm not going to sit here and say, it's so easy. It's hard. It took me many years to become someone new in order to create something new. So it's hard. It requires repetition. It requires consistency. It requires you to be relentless with the new thoughts and the feelings. But as you've mentioned, the moment energetically you are thinking and feeling and behaving like you already have what you want, those things can then start to be created because they're on the same plane. They're on the same frequency as you. So it's metacognition. It's observing every single thought that you have. Would that thought create the desires that I have, the way that I'm feeling in my body now? What's the broadcast that I would be sending out, and immediately changing them? You will be like a broken record because these limiting thoughts are going to pop back on. It's all you know. Insert your age. That's how many years of unlearning you've got to do. I'm 31. So if I just started this work today, 31 years of programming to always think and feel like I always have, there's a lot of hard work in there.
Yeah.
So I never sit here and sugarcoat it. But each time you observe a thought that would create a limiting outcome, and you change it and you focus on those best case scenarios that we spoke about before, again, you're starting to kill off the old neural pathways in your brain, creating the new ones. It will get easier. Eventually your brain goes from one that thinks based on lack and one that thinks based on possibility.
Yeah.
And now it's no longer you pushing shit up the hill. Your brain's different. And so each day you do this and you change your thought and you change your feeling, your body and your brain is changing, and it will get easier. But more practically, I always say to my clients, who is this version of you that has all that you desire? How does she dress? How does she start her morning? Where does she spend her day? Where does she work from? What kind of coffee does she order? Just the basic foundational things that we do every day. What does she do?
Yeah.
You don't need to be earning 7 figures in your business to start dressing like that. You don't need to be earning 7 figures in your business to start working from that bougie hotel lobby bar if that's what she does. And you just start to do the things that she would do, but just the simple, easy things like that. Now you're in that different frequency. Now you're walking like she would. You're dressing like she would. You just start to think and feel differently as the default. And so a task there is script. A dream day in your life. You have multi-6-figure, 7-figure business. You're working with the clients. You're living in the home. You're driving the car. What's your dream day? And then come through and start to highlight or circle everything you can do from tomorrow morning. And as I've mentioned, you don't need to be making more money in order to start your morning at that beautiful Pilates studio. Yeah. Or if she drives this amazing luxury car, go and test drive the car at the dealership this weekend. Go to the open homes of the houses that she would live in. You might not be able to purchase them yet, but you can touch the steering wheel and smell the leather and see yourself in that kitchen. Again, now you're in the frequency of these things, and it's going to manipulate your energy, which will create something different.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's something that I have been doing a lot this year, is like that acting as if, whether it's dressing like it. This is actually so funny. You know the Marta Prize homes?
Yeah.
My partner and I will
God, we
always
buy them
go
all the
through the Marta Prize homes, and we'd be like, this is where our coffee machine would go. And I would be like, I just have to walk from the bedroom so I can visualize my morning routine.
Yeah. And that's so powerful. Like, we sound like nutcases, but it works.
But it feels really good. Like, you know, you feel in a different energy. You feel like it's a possibility that you can have a home like that because you can experience yourself in it.
Yeah. And again, like scientifically, there's a different frequency in those homes compared to the shitty cafe that you might always go to.
Yeah.
Like energetically, there's a different frequency, and energy moves energy. So simply just by being in these environments, it's going to shift you. So yeah, call us crazy, but it works.
Totally. And I reflect as well, like when I went to New York at the beginning of the year, I went and worked at a place, it's like the Malin. It's so beautiful, expensive, but I'm surrounded by so many entrepreneurs doing really big things. And I know that if I stayed in that spot for months, you would do such big things because you're surrounded by other people doing big things. You're surrounded by such a luxury environment. It just changes the way you act as well.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. And we hear that saying all the time, you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with. And again, there's scientific proof that it is true.
Yeah. And I think I think a lot of people will think, but I don't have the car, or I don't have the money to be able to buy the clothes, but you can do it in little things. I call them like little serotonin luxuries, or little luxuries that you could add. So instead of, I know, going to the crappy coffee shop, like you said, you can go to the fancy one and it might cost like $1 or $2 more, but it's still allowing that little upgrade.
Yeah. Or even if well, I'm assuming everyone who listens to this can afford the $1 more coffee, but even if you can't sit in that room yet or buy that handbag yet, still walk by, still see the people there, still be in that environment. It's going to shift you. I'll never forget. So I grew up in a family where we didn't have designer items. Waste of money, my dad would say.
Same.
Yeah. My mum would have loved to, but it just wasn't on their radar. You know, Dad had a very successful business, but we had practical items, and we'd go on holidays, which was great. But there was no Louis Vuitton handbags in my house growing up. And what I realized, I wanted to be that woman. I love luxury, as I've mentioned. I love designer handbags. I have a beautiful car. Like, that's just what I enjoy. And so when I was starting to step into this new identity and give myself permission to have these things, I realized that I actually had a fear to walk into Louis Vuitton. And we obviously have all the design. Yeah?
Yes. I'm like nodding because I was like, I was the same. Mine was like, don't touch anything.
Yes.
Don't go in there.
So anyways, obviously we have all the designer stores up here on the Gold Coast.
Yes.
And I was like, right, I'm going to make it my homework today to walk into Louis Vuitton and just walk in and browse the handbags. I got to the front door and couldn't walk in.
Really?
I just immediately had this fear that they would know I had no money, that I was not allowed to be in there, and that I would be asked to leave. And I left. And it actually took me a few times to walk into Louis Vuitton and just browse. And so that is just the perfect example of that subconscious program and that identity, looking at a situation like that and saying, who the hell what are you doing? Like, this is not where you belong. You're not worthy of this. Yes. But I kept going back to Pac Fair and I'd walk into Louis Vuitton. Eventually I walked into Louis Vuitton and browsed the handbags, and now I have a Louis Vuitton. So, but it seems so silly, but it's so true. I had the same experience when I started the process of buying my car and walking into Mercedes and just feeling so out of place. Like, I wasn't allowed to be there. But you've just got to build the muscle and start to craft this new identity.
Oh, that is so good. And I did the same. I literally texted my partner one afternoon. I was like, I think I told you. I was like, Andrew, we're going to go into Louis Vuitton today. He's like, yep, I popped it in the calendar.
Yeah.
So we went in, we picked the bag that I wanted, because I was like, I was always afraid as well, because I was always told we can't afford that. It's not impractical. Yeah. So I wanted to unlearn that learning and pattern as well.
Yeah, it's so powerful. I love that he put it in the calendar.
My partner sends me calendar.
I love that.
Very type. I've like taught him because I'm super, super type A. Now, morning routines, because I feel like this is something that I have learned actually from you. You were the first person I think I learnt that in the morning, your subconscious, or the thoughts that or those programs that we don't think about consciously, are the most susceptible to be reprogrammed in the morning because of the waves, the wave patterns in our brains. So I'd love you to tell you why the mornings are like the best to reprogram.
I'm so glad you asked this question, because there's so many people out there repeating affirmations and writing what they're grateful for in a way that it's just not going to work. I'm sorry. It's all a load of BS, and it's not doing anything other than making you feel good just for the 5 minutes of you writing down the affirmations. So this is a tool that will actually take those affirmations and put them into the computer system so that you now have the computer system for them. So as I mentioned, before the age of 7, you are being hypnotized, and it's because your brainwaves are slower. So we have 4 brainwave frequencies. Beta, which is probably what we're in right now, it's that active, awake, thinking state. Alpha is that sleepy state, so what we are when we're just waking up in the morning or when we are on the couch at night, we're watching TV and we're about to go to bed. Theta is what we are in when we are drifting off in that light sleep, and then delta is what you were in when you were in a deep, deep sleep. Yep. But theta and alpha are our access points to the subconscious to the subconscious mind, because your brainwaves are slower. And it's like, imagine all day there's been a gate to the subconscious mind. So the subconscious mind's behind this gate, and the gate is that conscious mind, that logical mind.
Which makes sense, because like when you're doing activity, the brain has to be firing constantly.
Yeah. And, you know, go back to the example when people are doing affirmations at the wrong time of the day. Yes, you are reading those affirmations and, you know, saying them out loud, but they're just getting stopped at that gate. They're not actually entering the subconscious mind because your brainwaves are so alert and awake. So because of your brainwaves, the gate has gone down, and now everything we think about, we listen to, we absorb is now going straight into the subconscious mind, and that computer is just being upgraded. Now, another quality of the subconscious, just like a computer, it doesn't have the ability to say, I'm not going to take this new software on board. I don't feel like believing in this software. Anything we tell the computer, it will do. Yeah. The subconscious mind is exactly the same. So anything you listen to in that window of your morning or night is being received by the subconscious mind, and we're beginning that reprogramming practice. So first thing in the morning, you are starting to wake up. I want you to roll over, grab your phone, pull up my morning affirmation track.
Yes, I have that.
Yep. And play that the first thing you do. You might even drift back to sleep, but I want that to be the first thing you hear in the morning, the first thing your mind absorbs. And that track has been designed to make more money, which is what we're here to do, create success, feel safe with the success that we want. It only goes for about
6 minutes.
Thank you. Good job. You've been doing your homework. 6 minutes. So if you're just like, I lay in bed for 6 minutes and just listen to it, and I have a little cozy time before I get back up. But you just want to have it playing while you go to the toilet, brush your teeth, do whatever for the first 6 minutes of your morning. Then jump into a visualization practice. And that could be that mental rehearsal one that I spoke about, or even just some kind of visualization where you're starting to just wake up your energy centers and just get your day, get your body ready for the day. But I always do suggest that mental rehearsal, because again, now we are mentally rehearsing the future that we want, while our brain is in a state to actually receive it. Yeah. Those 2 tasks in the morning are going to be such a powerful tool that you can add into your day. Once you've listened to your affirmations track, done your mental rehearsal, if you want, jump into your journal and do that debunking exercise that we spoke about. So, okay, any thoughts that I'm having lately that wouldn't create the outcome that I want? On the left-hand side, what's the best case scenario that I want to create today? We're starting to create these new assumptions, or using the observer effect in quantum physics, we're shifting your focus point. Instead of focusing on what's not working and all the bad stuff that could happen to us, we're focusing on the good and the possibility. So those steps in the morning are going to make you the most powerful woman. And then finish that off with the sleep meditation. Again, as I've mentioned, when you're in that alpha brainwave frequency, the brain is starting to slow down. And the way that I've designed this sleep meditation is you listen to it as you drift off to sleep, because then we're going to capture that theta brainwave frequency. You're asleep. All you need to do is listen to this audio track, and the subconscious is just absorbing and taking in as truth everything that is said in that audio track. And because you go to sleep, whatever you listen to just prior to going to sleep, your subconscious now ferments on it. So it's just sitting there, it's absorbing and it's thinking about it. You'll probably notice it shows up in your dreams, because the subconscious is just being, fermented in this beautiful new way of thinking.
Yeah, I think that's so good. You're definitely the person that's influenced, I think, that part of my morning routine. So mine would be like, I would have my morning lemon water, and I would like listen to something. I have listened to yours actually for a while, but then I would write and I would journal like what I would want to be for that. If I've got something big that day, like how I would want to be as that future version of me, or how the act as if that woman, or like what I would want my life to look like. So it would be a lot of journaling, and I've done that for ages. But in that morning, I know that my brain is more susceptible versus people that just like, oh, I'll just journal at like midday.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't actually work as effectively.
Yeah. And if you can't do it in the morning for whatever reason and you've only got midday, you can still do this, but it's really important that you slow your brain waves back down. Don't try and do this when you are in that heightened thinking, conscious, thinking brain, because it's just not going to be as productive. So yeah, if you do have the ability to really slow yourself back down, then it will work. And I've got myself to a point now where I can really calm my brain back down and get myself into a place where I've at least activated the alpha brainwave frequency. But again, if you're someone that lives quite high alert, it's going to take you some practice to be able to bring yourself down to that calm state. So in the meantime, just use the windows that are already available to you. Instead of trying to push against yourself, just know I'm already in these windows naturally, morning and night. So why not just do it at that time of the day?
Yeah, perfect. When we talk about your routine, because I remember at the beginning of the year you were talking about your goal to have $1 million year.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about acting as the woman that you want to be, what did you do or have you done incorporated this year to become that woman that can hold that level?
Yeah. So the work has looked very different to get to 6 figures versus the journey to 7 figures, because the journey to 6 figures was about reprogramming my brain that we can receive money in the capacity that we do in the business. Again, I was raised in the household where money comes from a salary working for somebody else. So I just had to show my brain that it is possible to make money being self-employed, working with incredible women, doing it all online, and that's a way that we can make money. So the practices that I've just mentioned were something that I was doing 7 days a week, because my subconscious programming was very inconsistent with what I was trying to do. So it really did require the consistency with those practices. But yeah, it was a lot of mental rehearsal, being at my computer, seeing the pretend clients on my screen, opening up my bank account and seeing money come through and knowing that it had come through the business. So that's the journey to 6 figures. The journey to 7 figures has actually been a lot harder than 6 figures. Because I was pretty good at making money in my business. We grew to 6 figures quite quickly. But once I started making 20K months, I experienced more fear than I had ever had in my business, because it went from creating money in this creative energy to now I'm in survival energy again. And there's this pressure to maintain the expenses in the business and pay for my life. But I kept doing the work to receive money, and the feeling in my body wasn't going away. And when I talk about the feeling in my body, even though I had clients locked in for an extended period of time and there was no logical reason that my money would go anywhere, I would wake up with this fear every day that it was just a fluke and the money on the dashboard was going to disappear. Or clients would message me one day and say, actually, you know what, I don't want to work with you anymore. Even though we had contracts in place and that would not have happened. But it was just this fear that at any moment I'm going to lose it all. And so I kept doing the work that I'd always done, visualize being in the room with my clients and seeing the money. But my brain was no longer needing to be programmed to receive and needed to be programmed to hold on to this money. And again, feel safe with larger amounts of money. I actually did an episode the other day on the 100K trap, and 100K in your business is amazing. 6 figures is amazing. But when you think about most professional careers, usually get paid 100K to 200K depending on your profession. And so I find a lot of ambitious women who were in careers like that get to that figure in their business quite easily, because it creates the same life they would have had if they were still at their corporate job. So while the money is coming through differently now, your life is still looking how it would have looked when you were a corporate employee, because that's what it feels safe doing so. But when we start talking about $500,000 a year, $1 million a year, now this is going to create an entirely different life. And so it's about normalizing what life looks like. You know, what will it actually be like to not have to worry about money? What will it actually feel like to not have any stresses associated to money? And the body doesn't know how that feels. So now it's just about normalizing larger amounts of money, overflow, and feeling safe with the responsibility that does come with $1 million business. But practically, I'm still doing the morning and the evening routines, but it's a lot of visualizing a life so extreme, even if that's going to be like a 5 million, 5 million per year life.
Yeah.
But just allowing myself to go there and just tap into overflow.
Yeah.
And it sounds weird, but your body is so addicted to struggle in the world that we live in that to actually feel so calm and so at peace, the body just doesn't actually know that feeling, which is obviously what's going to come with that kind of money. So just a lot of just sitting, a lot of listening to my body, and most importantly, just making sure that I am making decisions from that 7-figure lens.
Yeah.
And the way that the business is looking and the decisions that we are making, the work that I'm doing and pulling back on is so different because I need my bucket to be nice and big. And if I'm stretched and at full capacity, where's this money going to land?
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. That is really cool. The
Yeah.
difference between the two.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we talk about, that's your version and who you want to be. If we talk about a lot of the women, we're coming into New Year's, end of the year, people reflect on the goals. Maybe they didn't achieve the goals that they wanted, or they look at and they're not exactly where they want to be and they want to create something different for 2026 in the new year and stepping into that version of themselves they want to be. What would be your tips and strategies around that, whether that's subconscious or mindset, so they can step into that new version in the new year or before the new year?
Don't go about another year being the person you were this year. So take a look at who was I in 2025. She can't go with you into 2026 if you want to do something that she didn't do this year. So again, your reality is always equal to your identity. Your identity is the thoughts and the feelings, the beliefs that you have, that broadcast. So if you want to create something different, you've got to become someone different. So as we've mentioned, go and get a whole new wardrobe. Go and work from a completely different location that you've never worked from before. Go get yourself a different colored laptop. Start to just morph a different environment, morph a different you to go into the new year. And you will find that all of the tasks that you did this year suddenly just create a different outcome. You will, in what's happened in my business and for a lot of my clients, once you become someone different, you'll find that the workload actually does reduce because a lot of what you were doing this year to create the outcomes was coming from lack, just assuming that if we want success, we've got to work really, 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 really hard. So it's unlikely that it's something that you need to do differently. It's just you need to be someone different. And again, your subconscious won't want that to happen. Your brain does not want you to change. It wants you to stay exactly where you are, even if this year has had an element of struggle or even if there is some separation between where you are now and what you want. The brain doesn't care. It wants you to stay right here. So it will throw excuses your way. You will sabotage this. You will want to just go to the usual spot you always work from because you know where the parking is. You'll want to just wear the same outfit because you know it's comfy. You'll want to be around the same people because you know them. You will want to just repeat the old patterns. Yeah. That's what your brain wants you to do, but you've got to be relentless and force yourself to become someone different. That's my tip, I would say. Go into this new year just being someone you've never been before.
Acting as that person. So really acting as the behavior of her. So it's less sometimes about all the goals that we want to achieve, even though we do love goal setting and we're those type of people. But it's who the person that you are stepping into.
Yeah. Because we're talking to ambitious women. Yeah. They set goals every day of their life.
It's so true.
They are checking those boxes off. Like, I don't think this conversation is about people who need to be told, well, if you want something different, you've got to go for the run or you've got to be on social media or you've got to do their things. They're doing their things. Literally. And that's why they're so confused because where are these results? So yeah, of course we can have the conversation about goal setting practices that I use and the different ways we can go about that. But I think they probably have that stuff dialed.
I agree.
They've got to be different. And honestly, you've got to do the subconscious reprogramming work. There's no escaping this stuff. And it doesn't stop either. And I'm still doing it, but it's a different level of subconscious reprogramming. So I think there are too many women out there who are focused on the task and they're ticking the task off. They're getting their reels out on time. They're, doing the brand shoots to make their aesthetics look beautiful. They are going to the networking events. They are doing everything right. But I think you're too focused on what you're doing and not who you are while you're doing it. And the mindset work needs to be number one. And if you are ambitious and driven, you're probably going to assume that that's unproductive and you don't have time for it, but you'll just keep repeating old patterns otherwise.
I feel like put that on a t-shirt. Now, I was like, we have to end it like this. It was so good.
And cut.
Before you leave, every woman that enters the show opens her file.
Ooh.
So I have a file there for you. In there will be 3 questions.
Oh my God.
And I want you to pick one of them, read it aloud.
I love this. This is so cute. Okay.
Whichever one kind of you resonates. What her file does, it allows us to understand you a bit more. We've talked about your expertise, the subconscious, all the things.
Yeah.
But we want to know you, the woman behind the brand, how you became who you are.
Sorry, what were the instructions? Pick one.
Pick one, read it aloud, and then just answer it.
Oh, these are good questions. Oh, they are loaded questions.
They are.
Okay. Maybe that one, but it's like we're playing a game.
My indecisive brain would actually hate this game.
Okay, I think I'm going to do this one, but what's my response going to be? Okay, the question is, what's one part of yourself you're still learning to love? Mm-hmm. And I think this may sound quite cliche to some people, but it's who I truly am behind closed doors. So again, ever since I was a little girl, I've always got the good grades. I've always tried my best in sports. I've always looked the part, but really learning who Jessica is underneath all of that and doing the raveling of really who I am to my core when you do take away the nice outfits and the business success and the university degree and that surface level achievements, really just sitting with that and being comfortable with the answers that I find and the change that may create in my life. In terms of relationships or where I live or what my business even looks like. I feel like there's still parts of me that I haven't uncovered that are going to create an absolute bomb in my life once I figure them out. But I've just got to be okay with what that is. And, I'm really big on this year. I've actually dipped my toes into this a lot more. Your soul contract and your human design.
Love human design.
According to my soul contract, I'm in my last incarnation. And that creates this feeling of being in a rush and needing to achieve everything and tick everything off. And that is me to a T. But there is so much to me that needs to realize I have done all of this before. So it may feel like this is the first time that I've run a business and reached 7 figures and, traveled and done all these. But there's versions of me that have done this before. This lifetime for me is supposed to be about self-reflection and really just sitting with who I am when all of that is off to the side. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's that question that it's a hard question. It's like who you are if everything was taken away.
Yeah, it's like I don't know yet.
And I feel, I'm just adding to your question now, but I was like, I feel very similar. Like when you told your story, it's the achievement, it's the external, it's the aesthetic, it's the polished brand, it's all the things. But who are you behind there?
Yeah.
Love that.
So in 2026, I'm going to find a mentor to work with to help me with those answers because I do feel like that is the missing link. I think I've got myself to a point in my life where I am so proud of what I've done and what I have, and it's a vision board manifested. But I'm not done. You want to find that peace inside of you. Yeah. So watch this space.
Oh, Jess Martin, thank you for coming on In Her Era. Where can everybody find you? Because I know that they'll want to find you after this.
Yes, I am hanging out on Instagram, which is just Jess Martin __. I'm very active on there. Please send me a DM if you have loved this episode. I'd love to just connect with other women. We have the podcast, Abundant and Aligned.
It's very good.
You're on there as well
I
more
am.
recently, and that is a great episode. They're the main two platforms. Website is just jessmartin.com.au. We have online programs and business masterminds for high achieving women who want a life far from average, and they want to do so by just becoming more, not always doing more. So, yeah.
Oh, this has been so good.
Thanks
Thank
for
you,
having
Jess.
me. I've loved it.
No,
Yeah,
me too.
honestly, such a cool episode, and I'm so grateful for you.
Oh,
Thank you,
I'm
Universe,
good.
for connecting us.
I know, same.